Hi everybody, I'm Andy Murray from WhatCulture.com.
And I'm Ben Retired from WhatCulture.com.
Yes, he most certainly is. And you know, it's the morning news. Usually we have a little routine we run through, but we're going to skip all that crap right now because so much goddamn stuff happened last night. Coming out of the Royal Rumble, stuff that happened on screen, stuff that happened off screen. We're just going to run through the whole lot. And baby, here we go. We're going to kick things off with a little bit of backstage beef. If you made a list of people in WWE who you wouldn't want to fight in a real life, fight, I imagine Brock Lesnar and Matt Riddle would be pretty near the top, given that Brock Lesnar is the most terrifying man alive, a former UFC heavyweight champion, of course, and Matt Riddle himself is a former UFC fighter as well. But they got into it themselves last night at the Royal Rumble. According to a report from Pro Wrestling Sheet, they stated that the duo were involved in a tense backstage altercation, with further details coming from Lords of Pain, who wrote, Lesnar and Riddle had a tense encounter after passing each other backstage. Sources on site have claimed that this is not storyline and that the Beast was scary with his taunts. So this is quite interesting, as Riddle has made what's the word I'm looking for? No secret of his desires to face Lesnar in a match and even retire the guy. Riddle does this all the time on social media, of course. He's talked trash to Goldberg, and then that resulted in a little face-to-face from them that was caught on camera. So, Lesnar, Riddle, backstage fight, Ben Roy Turner. Who have you got?
I actually think Riddle would come out on top here. I don't know.
You reckon?
Well, after I don't know the guy's name who beat him in the UFC fight, but when he wrapped up in a little ball and just did him over straight away.
Overeem, Velasquez, yeah, there's a few of them.
Someone like that. But no, Riddle just wants to cause trouble, doesn't he? He's gonna get himself into a big bother soon. Like, it's fun doing it once on. Oh, Goldberg, he's old, but he's not really kind of full time.
Yeah.
Even though Lesnar is obviously not, quote, full-time, Lesnar is still a big sort of like power to be reckoned with. And if you go against the big guy and you annoy him, a la say like maybe a Braun Strowman, you kind of like fizzle out of the picture. And he's not even in the picture yet.
Yeah.
I mean, we know NXT is now trying to be like, is sort of equal with all the other shows. But I would feel like Matt Riddle also would want to be on a Raw or SmackDown in the future. For hence also face someone for a big belt, one of the big gold belts, and if he wants to do that, he can't piss off the big man.
Yeah, you don't mess with a big man. Like, everyone knows that, especially when the big man, in this case, is Brock Lesnar, the scariest man alive, the big purple monster, the big sweaty beast.
One of the only people that is legitimately still terrifying.
Yeah, this is nuts. Matt Riddle's got to calm down at some point. But, you know, I also really like stories like this because they're kind of fun and they're hilarious to think about. I would love to see these guys square off, but let us know down in the comment section who you think wins that real life fight. I reckon it's Brock.
How do you think he started off? Say, bro, what are you doing?
I reckon he flipped his flip-flops in Brock's face and Brock went, what are you doing, you stupid little puke?
Imagine that.
Take your doobie and flick it in your eye or something like that. That's all speculation. Don't go reporting that WhatCulture said he flicked a doobie in his eye. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about the other big story. Well, there's so many of them, but another big story coming out of the Royal Rumble is, of course, Edge. Edge is back in WWE. Heart-stopping return, entered at number 21. He eliminated Luke Gallows, AJ Styles, Randy Orton. He got to the final three. Great stuff. It was a final three where I wanted every guy to win. Awesome showing. He looked ripped. He looked a bit older, obviously, because he is older, but he was ripped. He was so excited as well when he came out and he just burst across the stage. The camera couldn't catch him. He was so fired up. And he came down the ramp a little bit. He stopped. He was welling up. Proper, hard-hitting, emotional moment. And according to WrestleVotes, Edge, the new deal he recently signed was for 3 years. It is for significant money. We're probably going to see Edge wrestle more matches. This is awesome. This is the kind of thing that when people go, Andy Murray, you are 32 years old. People who don't understand wrestling, you're 32 years old. You're watching pro wrestling for a living. Why do you do it? This is why. This was awesome.
My heart hurt for quite a while afterwards because I was in so much joy to see him back. I was sitting there next to Mark Hamflett and we picked some numbers. I said, number one's going. He went 21. And then we sat there and 20 had come out. And then 21's about to come out and said, Ben Ryan, it's gonna be Edge. Like, you know, Dad, like, oh yeah, it's gonna be this. Oh, don't worry, son. It was Edge. We both stood up. I pushed a whole sofa back. I hugged him. I hugged a human. I was so happy to see Edge back. And if his neck is fine, if he can go, if he's had that Danny Bryan magic where they've just worked out how to fix bad necks now, as long as he's totally fine, I would like to see him in a bit more of a schedule than Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him actually get involved in stories because I feel like Edge can do the things where he can be an actual character, you know, push old men in wheelchairs off tall structures and kill them. And
all the classics.
Yeah, and other things like that. And he could be a vampire again, who knows, bring back Gangrel.
Yes,
knocking him
Gangrel.
out. But no, this is great news, especially if Edge can go. And also, Rated RKO came back, so let's not forget that.
Let's not forget the most important part of the whole thing, Rated RKO
Yeah.
coming. Now, this was awesome. Like, man, I was sitting there, I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't watch it live. I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I fast-forwarded to the men's match because, you know, it's probably usually going to be the most exciting thing in the card, the big Royal Rumble, the one with Brock Lesnar starting off in it. And it got to number 21, and the buzzer went, and I heard "You Think You Know Me," and it didn't quite register. And I was like, oh.
It's so quiet, isn't it?
Yeah, I recognise that Sting. And then just the boom, boom, boom of that Alter Bridge song and him coming out, and I jumped out of my bed. I must have awoken everyone in my house. This was awesome. This was one of my favourite Rumble returns ever. You know, I'd have to think about it, but I can't remember a more emotional one.
What was the last return that you can remember being this impactful?
Exactly. Maybe John Cena, or maybe Edge's previous one when he came. But this was bigger than both of those.
Yeah, I can't remember. Every other return is now out of my brain.
Yeah.
After You Think You Know Me and that song hit.
It was awesome, it was amazing, it was everything the Rumble's all about, and it contributed to what will probably go down as one of my favourite Rumbles, at least of the modern era. There were some other returnees as well. I mean, talking about them after talking about Edge, you know, it's not kind of the same buzz, but in the men's match we saw MVP. That was pretty cool.
You know, I had another fact of Michael Hamflet. I can't remember the exact match, but MVP's last match did involve Drew McIntyre back in 2010 on a crappy episode of SmackDown. So, you know, cycle goes round.
That's a nice little nugget. That's a nice little. That'll be on a bloody good quiz in a year from now.
It'll be on our list.
Hell yeah, it will be. Let's get that written, baby. In the women's match, we saw Mighty Molly, Phil Chambers, very excited. Naomi returning from a long absence. We saw Kelly, who did her usual thing where she comes in and is slow motion and botches a bunch of spots. Exactly. Tamina, nobody's meaner, apart from Bianca Belair, who put her out in like 5 seconds.
Such a waste.
And in a really funny moment, Santina Marella, who came out, kind of got stuck between Natalya and Beth Phoenix, put the Cobra on, Cobra'd himself, and then got bundled out of the match of their own accord.
I thought this was a dream. I didn't know what was happening. Me and Hamlet really couldn't comprehend it until he kind of took himself out and just like, no, I'm dead, I'm gone. And
it was funny.
And it's actually quite a good way to end that character. Like,
absolutely.
After that character was like, put a mockery on, is it the Divas Battle Royal, WrestleMania 25? And for Beth to be there, and even she went to clobber him afterwards as well. You see, she probably goes for it, but no. Santina, weird. Santina's gone. Maybe that's the last time we'll ever see her.
I didn't even mention Beth there in the list of returns.
Yeah.
It was like one of the biggest ones. Like a really good night for the Copeland family. Edge and Beth having big nights. I totally agree about the Santina. That was phenomenal stuff.
Beth also sort of like stood up and hung with like Charlotte Flair, and Beth felt like she hadn't missed a trick. Obviously, we had her back every now and then, but it feels like Beth could just be back.
One more run.
Yeah.
One more run.
But obviously, she's a decent commentator, and she bumps. You want to be paid not to do bumps, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you've got kids, you've got a family. Just do what you want.
Yeah, do what you want, Beth. We're not going to tell Beth the chef. You want to be a chef? Be a chef. You want to be a wrestler? You want to be a commentator? Do what you want. We all like Beth Phoenix.
Although I'd like to see her win a women's championship.
Me too. That'd be tremendous. Tag titles with Natalya, maybe?
Yeah,
Divas
why not?
Doom?
Of course.
Let's roll. We should probably talk about the Royal Rumble winners as well, right? I mean, those were things that happened. So I think, one of these will go down a little bit better online than the other one. The first one, the women's match, first Rumble of the night, Charlotte Flair won the match, which is not a huge surprise because they love Charlotte Flair. She eliminated Shayna Baszler last. It looked like the whole thing was being set up for the Queen of Spades, who eliminated 8 people to take the match, but no, Charlotte put her out. Charlotte is presumably going to WrestleMania. Interesting booking choice there because a lot of people had Shayna versus Becky. We might now get Becky versus Charlotte, which is tough because it's always a good match, but it's kind of becoming like a John Cena Randy Orton thing where we've seen the match so many times. Or maybe she'll go over to SmackDown and face Bayley. We'll see what happens. But Charlotte Flair is a controversial figure online, and this has been met with a very mixed response. But she is kind of one of the biggest and best wrestlers in the division, so it's not that much of a dead loss.
I think I'm kind of here for Charlotte winning. Like, it kind of makes sense. Like, we still got, not a million years, but we've got a million years ahead of Shayna Baszler still, I think. Like,
absolutely.
There'll be other chances, but for me, Charlotte, it kind of makes sense, and I think she should go against Becky for the sheer thing that she wasn't involved in the decision last year at WrestleMania, so they can do that whole angle, and they can kind of brew an interesting thing, and this can be the ultimate blow-off. And then hopefully, well, not hopefully, but then we can kind of move away from the 4 horsewomen taking control of both belts and maybe get someone else in there and get someone else, like, have a bit more of a play.
Yeah.
But I really do think that going with the Queen at this time was probably the best choice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here for it. I was kind of bummed out, but then I was like, oh, wait a minute. I just got worked because the person I wanted to win didn't win and got beat by, like, the big heel of the division. I know she's been playing face relatively recently and so forth, but, like, that's what wrestling is. And I think, like, if you're above getting worked, then you should probably just stop watching. I got worked. Did you?
You did say Shayna Baszler eliminated 8 other women.
Yeah.
So did
she had a great run. Bianca Belair was amazing.
NXT destroyed the, quote, main roster in this Royal Rumble. Charlotte Flair did 4, them 2 did 8, and then the others were, like, 1, 1, 1, and then just zeros across the board. So, like, NXT came out of this very strong.
They really did. They eliminated more than half the wrestlers. And on the men's side, big bloody Drew. Drew McIntyre ascending, climbing the throne. He eliminated Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar had this crazy run where he eliminated, like 13, 14 people?
It was 13, so he's tied now with Braun Strowman.
Tied with Braun for the record. Great stuff. The sequencing of the whole thing with Brock eventually came down. Ricochet hit him in the bullocks, and Drew Claymored him out of the ring. That's probably your WrestleMania program. It's hot as hell. He eliminated Roman Reigns to win the match. Big pop from the crowd. Drew was breaking up a little bit. He was looking a bit emotional, but this is great stuff. Drew's been able to show a lot more personality in recent weeks. He's really getting over. The countdown thing is over as hell. The Claymore is one of the most feared finishers in WWE. He's big, he's burly, he can talk, he's got charisma, he's a great character. Him versus Brock is surely going to be one beef-slapping belter.
Yeah, I would like it to go more than 5 minutes a Mania, but then obviously a Brock match, if it goes more than 5 minutes, the ring canvas needs changing because he just sweats everywhere. You see him in this run with just like everywhere, just like
wasn't it?
Flooding off. But no, I wanted Edge to win because I wanted Edge to win, and it was Edge, and Edge was back, and Edge is here. But that whole ending where they did the sort of Shawn Michaels like fake, oh no, was it an accident where it sort of like fell away and sort of went. But at this point, I think, if it was going to come to Drew, Roman, or Edge, they made the right choice.
Yeah, I think so. They've elevated him. He's a main eventer now. He's a big star now. Great stuff. Also, flying the flag for the home nation, the great nation of Scotland.
3-man band as well, like the 3MB. Now only one more member. If Drew wins this, then only one more member needs a world championship, and then that was one of the most successful groups in WWE history.
Wow, that's actually true.
He's got kids.
We're gonna wrap things up with the final story here. You may have noticed WWE made a lot of changes to the Rumble lineups last night. There was no Rusev, Bobby Lashley, Otis Tucker, a few others in the men's match. In the women's match, one who was conspicuous by her absence was Sasha Banks, who's previously announced for the match but pulled out of it, and they brought Kelly in to take her spot. This is according to Fightful Select, who have written that apparently Sasha just wasn't cleared to compete. She hasn't wrestled since the 3rd of January. She's had this injury as part of the storyline between Bayley and Lacey Evans. There was talk that was a work. It now seems that isn't the case. Perhaps the injury is a little bit more severe than was first thought, given that they announced her and then had to pull her out either like a couple of days before or on the night. Worrying stuff for Sasha Banks, who has been back for less than a year after her little sabbatical after WrestleMania. Just hope to see her back soon, basically.
Yeah, it's always hard like when injuries come out, especially this time of year, because not only are they missing one of the biggest parts of the year, but it's like nice they get the Mania payday, and obviously like, it's also more just the rest, like wrestlers, superstars want to live out, like be at the top of the game at the biggest stage of them all. So, I mean, all we can say at this point is hopefully that Sasha gets well soon and doesn't rush back. But then again, we've now seen people come back from impossible neck injuries. So
yeah,
I don't know about that.
Yeah, all the best, Sasha. Hope whatever ails her isn't too bad and that she's able to mount a swift return to the ring because she's one of the best. People forget that. But we're gonna say goodbye now. We might be back later in the day. There's all kinds of other stories that we haven't even touched coming out of this show and a bunch of other stuff floating around as well. So stay tuned, keep it locked to the channel. Lots of content dropping all goddamn day. But thank you for joining us. Follow us on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. Send us your Twitter questions. We'll get to those in the afternoon. Hashtag this is the news. You can follow Ben Roy on Twitter at
Ben Roy Turner.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Andy H. Marty, the H stands for hey guys, I'm really sorry I didn't do any Twitter questions here, but there's too much going on. Hope you understand. That's your second H. Bye!
Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture, here to let you know we want your live event videos, whether that be something that happened after the cameras stopped rolling, or your reaction to something amazing that went down at the show you were at. Stuff like this.
One of the other sweetest things I've ever seen was just recently when we saw Roman Reigns kick the shit out of cancer and come back on Monday Night Raw.
So make sure you send them to us in all the usual ways. You can tweet them at us, you can send them to us on Facebook, you can email them to us. Hell, if it's your sort of thing, you can stick them on a memory stick and post them to WhatCulture. But the one thing you need to remember is good, bad. Thanks for watching. Bye.